I just want you guys to keep the same energy for Dak Prescott because Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins are the exact same fucking player. Okay? All right. Dak Prescott is going to come out. He's in 8 years, he's got so many touchdowns. He's only got freaking
But
75
garbage time.
interceptions.
Those are garbage
No,
time.
hey, no.
No,
Same
it
thing with
isn't.
Kirk Cousins.
Listen,
Kirk
Dak-
Cousins is
no,
the
no,
same player.
Listen to me.
No,
Listen to me.
He's the
Dak
same
Prescott.
player.
No, stop.
Kirk is a
Yes,
garbage
Dak
he is.
Prescott.
Kirk
Dak
Cousins is the
Prescott is
exact
hell.
same player.
Dak
Go back to
Prescott.
his Washington days. His Washington days. Those are trash games. Those are garbage
No.
time games. You go
Not in
back
the
to his
playoffs.
time.
Not in the
Even
Dak
in
playoffs.
the
Prescott
playoffs.
has had
Go
like
back
one
to
and a
his
half
playoff
solid
times
years.
yes. No.
No, I'm
Dak
sorry. I
Prescott
can't.
and Kirk Cousins are the exact same player. Look at their timelines. Look at what they've done in the playoffs. Look at their games. Look at all of their history. Same player.
All About the Balls podcast with Mark Davis, Luke Rule, Alan Tomasello, and Nick the Doc Skirkowitz. Free agency is upon us. That's right. The legal tampering is here. I'm Mark Davis. This is All About the Balls podcast. I'm in the sack house, and my Christmas came literally March 11th, 2024, because the Atlanta Falcons signed Kirk Cousins. He's given $1.5 million in Coles cash to Kyle Pitts to have that number. Whew. I'm joined alongside Luke Rule, Nick the Doc Skirkowitz, and Alan Tomasella, and we're here to talk everything free agency since Friday, March 8th to today, March 11th, Monday night. Luke, how are you doing? How was the weekend?
Yeah, it was a good weekend. Went out to Nashville, got some good food, got some good drinks, So, I mean, good weekend, easy, chill days. So, yeah, I mean, glad to be back in Sack House, though.
Can't wait to get to Nashville. Hopefully, 4th of July weekend. Hopefully, you have some days off so I can make my way to those neck of the woods.
Yeah.
But, Doc, how are you doing? Bears made some signings we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, real excited. The Bears are making all the moves in the right direction right now. I'm happy with what we've done so far, and ready for the season.
And Alan, the Patriots have done some things. Mac Jones is no longer a Patriot. The 2021 NFL draft class for quarterback sucked. Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, and you have your guard back. How are you feeling?
Yeah, man, I'm feeling really good. The Patriots are making a lot of big moves. I know we don't talk a lot of basketball on here, but I just want to shout out Lakers is going crazy right now. All right, I know that's a plug for later this week because we got another podcast coming up for basketball. But Lakers are just killing it right now. Football wise, man, Patriots are killing it. I had a good weekend too. Really did finish some things up around the house, painted and sanded some walls, did some more painting and all kinds of other stuff. So get ready for this deployment I got coming up.
Hey, breaking news coming out of the Patriots camp: re-signing Jalen Reagor. That's a top move right there.
Jacoby Brissett's gonna break the top off of defenses with Jalen Reagor.
Yeah,
and
as we speak, that's coming across. So, congratulations.
Well, look at Doc with the plug, with the insider news there. But, boys, let's not beat around the bush. It's a packed episode. And are you guys ready for, I believe the Super Bowl's in New Orleans next year. Are you guys ready to see the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl? Because, like I said, Kirk Cousins is an Atlanta Falcon. So how excited are you as NFL fans? How excited are you that Kirk Cousins is finally on a team that is going to have an offensive line? Yes, the weapons aren't as good as Minnesota, but O-line and a defense that can maybe keep them in games.
I want to know where you feel because you made a prediction about the Detroit Lions making it to the Super Bowl, and now you're all like, "Oh, the Atlanta Falcons, we got Kirk Cousins," and the Lions they went and got a cornerback, some things. Kirk Cousins is really good. I think he's a great quarterback for that, man. But I'm a little bit worried. He's 36 years old, coming off of an Achilles tear. All right, you paid him $100 million guaranteed. By the time this contract's over, he's gonna be 40 years old. And I don't know about your wide receivers. I don't know about your tight ends. Have they gotten better or are they progressively worse? I don't know because PFF has your pass catchers in the 20s.
Well, I'll tell you this. Drake London got better from year
throwing to him.
Well, Drake London got better from year 1 to year 2 with going from Mariota to Desmond Ridder. Unfortunately, Kyle Pitts got hurt year 2 with Marcus Mariota, and you can see he was still a little gimpy on that ankle, a little hesitant on the way he was going to feel run on his leg, and that happens when you're coming off an ACL or Achilles. I forgot which injury it was. And he went from Matt Ryan, get 1 touchdown his rookie season, but he had over 1,000 at the time rookie record for yards. Sam Laporte did break it. Yes, you did say that earlier, and that's not wrong. But being one of the top tight ends and records like that, that's fine. Now you have a quarterback who loves tight ends. He loved tight ends in Minnesota with T.J. Hawkinson, and he even tried getting the tight ends involved before him too. But I like it. Yes, the Detroit Lions are my favorite still to win the NFC. I don't give a shit about the Niners and all these other teams. The Bears are up and coming. The Packers are looking good. You have all these other teams, the Giants, Commanders, are all making moves. I'm not saying those two are contenders, but they're making moves in the right direction. But I like what the Atlanta Falcons are doing. I think we're the I'll say third best team in the NFC right now. I don't give a shit. Kirk Cousins is going to put us over the top. I'm not lying. I think we draft a receiver in the first round. So be it Roma Duze, Malik Neighbors, or maybe we even wait till the second round. We don't have to go for Fields now. We have our top 2 picks. We need to do it right. We got to get a receiver next to Drake London, and Kyle Pitts will be used with Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. I love it. I really do. I get his age, but I love it.
You're missing the most important part of the Kirk Cousins signing, all right, and that is that Atlanta is no longer a destination for Justin Fields. Another team off the board. Pittsburgh's off the board. We'll talk about that more later.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Unlimited.
Yeah, want to see Justin stay in Chicago. We moved that first pick back. I like it. We're
going to say that, Alan, though. What was your question about to be?
Well, listen, I just think that, is T. Higgins that guy that you guys can go after? I mean, go get another wide receiver while Drake London, you're not paying him yet. And you have to pay T. Higgins. You have to pay a wide receiver. Yeah, you might want to go and take a shot in the draft, but we all know that everybody you draft in the draft isn't going to come out to be a great player. No. So I think maybe you go out and get another guy and you can really solidify this offense. The best thing about your offense, looking at PFF, and I know PFF isn't the be-all, end-all, but is your offensive line. I mean, every single guy you've got on your offensive line is ranked in the top 5 or top 10 in the offensive line for PFF. So I think that's great. The number 1 rated offensive player on your team in PFF is Tyler Algier. So you're paying Kirk Cousins $45 million to hand the ball off to Tyler Algier.
Zach Robinson runs a similar scheme to Kevin O'Connell, and it'll be the same thing. A lot of motion. Yes, the running back's going to be involved, but I get it. He had Dalvin Cook. I'm not going to say anything bad about Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook in his prime was a freak, but we have 2 freak running backs. Algier is a one on a lot of teams, and you have Bijan Robinson, which he has untapped potential because of what Arthur Smith did to him. He got a bad rap last year, and that's not Bijan's fault. Yes, offensive line is one of arguably the best offensive line. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's probably top 5, top 6 in the league. I like where he's at, and I don't know about T. Higgins. I would love T. Higgins. I don't want to give up a first-round pick for T. Higgins. I would take that second-round pick, ship out to Cincinnati today. It's in the early 40s. I think it's 41 or 42, somewhere in that range. We give up that second pick for T. Higgins, and then we go get Dallas Turner or a pass rusher in the draft. I would like that too. Then we have T. Higgins, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and it's a good fucking system with a system that loves pass-catching weapons. I love it.
But here's the thing, like for me with this Kirk Cousins thing is when you look at the overall weapons, I still think that the Vikings have better weapons if they had went out and signed somebody else. And I really honestly believe that Saquon signed with the Eagles after the Kirk Cousins signing because he saw that Kirk Cousins signed with Atlanta and didn't sign with the Vikings. Because when you saw they got JJ, they got Jordan Addison, they got TJ Hawkinson, they have the better pass catchers, they have the better offense. Yes, their offensive line isn't as good, but they are still going to work on that. And Saquon would have been the best running back that he's going to be playing with regardless. It doesn't matter. Bijan or Tyler Algier, Saquon would have been the best running back he's working with. Now, Saquon's going to fucking Philadelphia to push Jalen Hurts into the end zone, which I don't understand that either. But it is what it is.
Luke, what were you going to say, though? I saw you trying to hop in there.
Yeah. No, I'm just going to say, like, Kirk Cousins is going to do Kirk Cousins things. He's going to play great regular season. He's going to be a first, second round exit in the playoffs. Like he's 35. He's not getting any younger. You guys are going to cripple yourself under his fucking contract. $100 million guaranteed, 180 over 4 years. Like, come on. Like, Kirk Cousins' agent is like the MVP of the offseason so far. Like, this dude figures it out every single season. Every time Kirk Cousins is up for another contract, Kirk bets on himself. Only played 8 games this season. And guess what? Got the biggest deal so far this offseason.
Yeah, but he's
If
got a
there's
track
three-
record in Minnesota.
So
He didn't
if
play 8
there's
games
three-
because he was shit. He balled out in those 8 games.
If
Yeah,
there's
he balled
three
out.
constant things in the NFL, it's one, Patrick Mahomes will be in the AFC Championship game. It's two, the New Orleans Saints are going to be in cap hell and somehow fucking clear it before the start of the regular season or the league year. And the third one is Kirk Cousins is going to get fucking big money. This is like his first contract in years. It's not fucking fully guaranteed, but his agent finds a way. Those are three constants.
He's just really hit the stride or that right time cycle where every time that he's up for contract is when there's no other quarterback on the market, and he's the guy.
And I will say, I started calling this last year. I know you weren't here yet, Alan, but Chris, Doc, and Luke were. I was saying in the summer last year, Kirk Cousins is going to possibly be an Atlanta Falcons, a free agent. It's not a for sure thing he's going to be there. His best case scenario to win is not with the Minnesota Vikings because you mentioned offensive line. But I like what's going on.
You were calling for the Falcons to trade for him. No,
I was asking for him to trade in the regular season. Yes, I was asking for that. I want Kirk Cousins. I think his playoff record, yes, 1-3 is not great, but that's not a true indication of what he is. His playoff numbers and his primetime games aren't bad. If you look at it, the Giants game where they lost, that was on the defense. Kirk Cousins played a good game. A lot of the losses that he has is not Kirk Cousins' fault. Yeah, he's part of some of the losses. Yeah, he's like a name in the fucking ring there, but it's not all him. Like people like to throw in there.
People shitting on him like he's throwing for 2,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 30 interceptions. I mean, the guy is moving the football.
I mean, Minnesota hasn't had a defense in years. Last year was the first defense they had that was relevant for a few years under Brian Flores, and they stopped and fell off, but he was already hurt anyways. But he hasn't had true defense. We were top 10. We're young, and we're getting hungrier on defense with Jesse Bates, one of the top safeties in the league. Grady Jarrett's back, so...
I just want you guys to keep the same energy for Dak Prescott because Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins are the exact same fucking player. Okay? All right. Dak Prescott is going to come out. He's in 8 years, he's got so many touchdowns. He's only got a freaking 75 interceptions.
Those are garbage time.
Hey, no.
It is.
Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is the same player.
Dak Prescott. No, stop.
Kirk is
Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is
the same player.
Dak Prescott.
Go back to his Washington days. His Washington days. Those are trash games. Those are garbage time games. You go back to his time.
Not in the playoffs.
Dak Prescott has had like 1.5 solid years.
Yes. No,
I'm sorry, I can't.
And Kirk Cousins are the exact same player. Look at their timelines. Look at what they've done in the playoffs. Look at their games. Look at all of their history. Same player.
I'm sorry, they're not the same player to me. But let's pause the Kirk Cousins talk. I know you're fired up, but we have other players to talk about. That's my biggest thing. Obviously, I'm biased as fuck. I will be honest, I'm biased. It's the biggest thing. We're going to hammer the Kirk Cousins expectations this offseason. We have plenty of time to talk Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott. But, Alan, they're just not. They're just not the same player, man. I want you to do homework. I want you to bring up.
You guys are literally saying this, all three of you. But look at their stats. Look at their games. Look at how their careers have progressed. They're the exact same player. They both have a bad rap for playing in big games. They both go out and they both perform during the regular season, and they both underperform in the playoffs. That's exactly who they are. The same player.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying.
They're both middle tier quarterbacks. Like they're not top tier. They're not at the bottom. They're right there in the sweet spot in the middle. They'll get you the playoffs, but they're not going to get you. They're not going to hit home runs.
I think if Kirk Cousins was on Dallas with that offensive line that he's had most of his career, which has been usually a stellar offensive line, and weapons that he's had out there, Des Bryant towards the end of his prime, CeeDee Lamb, and guys like that, and a running back with Zeke Elliott, I'm pretty sure he thrives and gets past the first round almost every goddamn year.
I'm pretty sure if you put Dak Prescott on the Minnesota Vikings with Dalvin Cook and JJ and all the players that he's had, you put him on the same team, he's going to do the same things.
No, he does not because his offensive line. He's going to be getting hit. He's not. Dak Prescott is not a precision passer. He's not as accurate. Like, yes, he can make.
Why you just said that Kirk Cousins to Atlanta
offensive line
is because of the offensive line.
Yeah, offensive line. There's no offensive line in Minnesota for Dak Prescott to have a fucking chance to throw the ball. Kirk Cousins, if you watch the quarterback documentary, is getting hit every single play. He's one of the most hit quarterbacks, not sacked. Oh, actually, he was at one point with Minnesota early in his career there. But he's one of the most hit quarterbacks in general. Just QB hits alone, he's towards the top of the list. Dak Prescott's not.
It's also
He's
the
tired.
quarterback's responsibility to get the ball out too, which Dak Prescott does get the ball out too.
You want to throw it away or throw a 2-yard pass here and there and say, all right, we'll fucking make some yak out of it? I can't fucking throw the ball 10 yards because I'm getting hit on my third drop. Like, that's your offensive line, too.
Then stand up and take a hit. I don't know what to tell you, but at the end of the day, they're both the same thing. They're both the same player.
Well, anyways,
If Kirk Cousins does not host a playoff game this season, it is a failed experiment. It is a failed experiment.
How about this? How about he doesn't host the playoff game, but he gets the NFC Championship? Is that a failed experiment for 1 year?
You're in the weakest division.
You should win the division now. You should win.
Well, but I'm asking you, just for example, Tom Brady, his first year. I know you're saying he's not Tom Brady. Tom Brady he didn't host a playoff game at all in the fucking first year at Tampa Bay, did he not?
Okay.
And he won a Super Bowl.
It was a different division.
I'm just
still
asking.
had the Saints with Drew Brees.
Tampa's not that bad. Tampa's pretty decent. I'm not saying they're good enough to win the Super Bowl.
No, but you still had New Orleans with Drew Brees and Sean Payton and that good
Drew
defense.
Drew Brees was shot. He could not complete a pass the last month and a half of every season, the last 3 years of his career. Yeah, and I guarantee you that was an issue with the New Orleans Saints back then.
And the New Orleans Saints were a better defense. They were a better team. They were a better team.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but you're saying he has to host a playoff game. It's a failed experiment. You're saying one thing. What if he goes far without being a road team? I'm not saying he has to. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know what to tell this guy. I don't know what to tell him, Luke.
So you're telling me if Kirk Cousins goes 10-7, the Bucs go 11-6, but Kirk Cousins goes to the NFC Championship as a road fucking guy, that's a failed experiment for year one?
It'd be his first round exit.
No, he goes to the NFC Championship. I'll say the NFC Championship.
I'd say that you underperformed. As you go into the playoffs, at the start of the playoffs, I would say that you guys underperformed. That's what I would say.
Is it a season failure if we get to the NFC Championship as a road team without having a home game?
Underperformed.
But you get to the NFC Championship. How's that underperformed? You got as far as people were expecting you to get.
You underperformed as the playoffs started, and then if you somehow make it to the NFC Championship game with Kirk Cousins on the road, all right, fine. Hey,
but does that make the season a failure? But does that make the season a failure? That's what Luke just said.
I would say that it's underperformed. I would say that you underperformed in the
regular season. They won the goddamn Super Bowl. Who gives a shit about the regular season if you get to the dance and you get far? Am I wrong?
What we're saying is that Kirk Cousins isn't that guy that's going to get you there.
Okay,
he performs in the playoffs. So putting him outside of his team, putting him outside of his home stadium is not a great recipe for you getting long distance in the playoffs.
So Lamar's a shit quarterback overall because
he's a failure.
He's a bad playoff quarterback.
He hasn't finished the playoffs now, but he's got.
So he's a failure. So it was a failure experiment getting that big contract.
Any player who doesn't win a Super Bowl is a failure then.
Well, that's what you're saying, though.
Antetokounmpo said it the best. 31 teams are going to fail every year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's true. There's only one team that's going to be happy at the end of the season.
I know
Dak Prescott has passed his first 8 seasons. Dak Prescott has passed over 4,000 yards. How many times?
Twice.
3 times. How many times has Kirk Cousins passed under 4,000 yards in his first 8 full seasons?
Rookie season he didn't.
No, first 8 full seasons, like playing and starting all 1 year.
Well,
1 year.
Last year.
He finished.
Last year?
No, not. I don't even know. I was taking first 8, so last year would have been 9 for him.
Oh, okay.
First 8 full for Cousins. 1 year under 4,000 yards passing. I mean, the numbers are there.
What are their touchdown to interception ratio?
Dak's had some.
Also, no, Dak has got good touchdown to interception ratio. He's almost at. I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly. I think I saw it earlier. I thought it was close to
202 to 74.
202.
That's Dak or Kirk?
That's Dak.
That's Dak. Kirk is at like 270, 110. So it's. I don't know. I had to look up what the percentage is.
274 is a 2.7 to 1 ratio.
So 5.2 to 2.1, whereas Dak is.
That was the numbers. I'm
sorry. 5.2 to 1.9. I'm sorry. 5.2 to 1.9.
But nobody saw this coming. I'm going to defend Lamar Jackson here and say that I think that the Ravens still, with his big contract, still performed as a team better than what somebody as some of these other players that we're talking about here are going to try to be that key player, that star player to
I'm
carry
going to shut
us.
that down. I'm going to shut that down right there, because when you want to talk about the Ravens played better, okay, the Ravens had a fucking defense, all right?
They did. But Lamar
Vikings
Jackson
did not.
is the big
But you
guy.
are not going to tell me that Kirk Cousins is a shit quarterback or a failed experiment because his defense couldn't hold it down.
Never said that.
What I'm saying is I don't give a shit about regular season matters, yes, because you got to get to the playoffs. But if you're saying that, because I don't give a shit. Okay, well, you had a failed regular season, but you had a great playoffs and you won something. So, wait, we're just gonna judge like Mahomes had a shit fucking regular season in his standards, and guess what? He was ranked the number 1 PFF quarterback in the regular season, number 1, and he had a failed regular season. Just throwing that out there. So you want to sit there and say what's failures and all that? It doesn't matter if you're fucking actually balling and you can be 10-7 or 11-6 and get to the dance.
Oh, great! But
that matters.
He's 36 years old and he just tore his Achilles. You think he's gonna come back like Kobe Bryant or something? Like that? You don't come back from that.
Well, we'll see. But let's move on. We have a lot of names. What are you guys looking at? We have some free agents out there. What are you guys looking at? Big ones, impact.
I've been enjoying the running back carousel. Kind of just guys. I mean, not really making much of a difference with the teams across the board, but guys just kind of rotating into somewhere else. I mean, Saquon Barkley over to the Eagles. The Eagles lost theirs to the Bears. Bears replacement is still working. Packers lost A.J. Dillon, picked up Josh Jacobs. Waiting on
Aaron Jones. They released Aaron Jones too, Doc. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Tony Pollard going to the Titans, who lost Derrick Henry. Eckler going to Washington, who lost
Gibson.
Who the fuck was it? Gibson.
Yep. Then Gus Bus filling in for Eckler.
Yeah, for losing Eckler. I mean, I don't know if that's a fair trade-off, but no, I mean, it's just been fun to kind of see. It's going to be kind of
the same.
Same outcomes a lot, just different names.
Edwards had a better season last year.
Eckler was out of the 32 leading rushers for out of the 32 rushing leaders for each team. Eckler was number 32 out of one like each team, and that includes Fields being number 1 for the Bears.
I think Gus was number 2 in touchdowns last season.
Yeah, he was up there. I mean, and Henry's still out there, so Henry's out there still, and we'll see where Aaron Jones goes. Those are 2 names that are going to fall somewhere.
Hopefully, it's the Ravens.
Yeah, Aaron Jones is heavily linked to the Vikings right now too.
Yeah, I had some Viking buddies say that they would like that, because they obviously weren't Madison fans, so they would like Aaron Jones there. And then,
how old is he?
Aaron Jones.
He's getting up. He's getting up
30s.
there. I mean, I would say he's in his 30s.
Yeah,
he had injury issues last year too. Was his problem?
He's been playing for a while.
I kind of feel like going back onto our free agency prediction podcast that I did with you guys, and we kind of talked about a lot of these in-division moves happen. We see Saquon to the Eagles, and I think Aaron Jones probably ends up within division. Like, it's just something that typically happens. You see these teams the most, and then these players get evaluated the most by these coaches and front offices, and that's where they end up playing.
Well, does Houston maybe take us?
No, you're onto something there, because Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler, DeAndre Swift, Devin Singletary, Gus Edwards all stayed within the division.
Fantastic. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate it.
Aaron Jones is Houston would mix. I know this is an episode. This offseason, I'm telling you right now, this is the time of the year where the 6 of us, because we have Jake and Chris still, we are going to be butting heads, because now you're seeing rosters form. You have the draft coming up. You have now us to attack, because me and Doc, we love Kirk. No, it's gonna be douchebag all year. It is, and Aaron Jones, by the way, turns 30 in December, so he'll turn 30 at the end of the season. I think Houston, if he can stay healthy with Houston, C.J. Stroud could benefit that. Just don't have to fucking run him to the ground. But
they still have Dameon Pierce too, don't they? So he could. I know he's
a trash can
season, but
and look for Zach Moss to get look for Zach Moss to get a chance
to make a comeback though.
Yeah, that's in division. That's in division, Doc.
Huh?
That would be in division.
That'd be in division.
He can't go there.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Yeah. No, listen, I don't think that I don't think Texans are actually even gonna do anything right now. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. You got CJ Stroud. You have to capitalize on this time frame where he's still on his rookie contract, and they just haven't done anything this free agency. You got all these guys moving. You saw they had interest in Wilkins. What the hell are they doing?
Texans signed defensive tackle. Autry's good. Autry's good from the Tennessee Titans and all that,
Or
but
Al Shazier from the
but yeah, they're building the defense, which they got to build the defense a little bit. The front seven need to be built a little bit, but still,
but they lost Grenard too, and he was a beast. He was a sack machine.
If I'm Houston, I'm going for T. Higgins maybe. Like that, you mentioned T. Higgins with Atlanta. I think Houston could give up a second-round pick. I mean, you think about it, they also have a late first-rounder because of they gave up Deshaun Watson, and they lost a draft pick to the Cardinals. But why don't you just give it that late first round for T. Higgins?
I just really like their pass catchers.
Fuck it, sit out.
Let him sit out.
Sit out. Get traded out of the AFC North. Get traded out of the AFC North.
Have him fucking sit. Have him and both leave.
God, that was a big one. T. Higgins requested that trade where it was leaked today. Like that's a big one, man. We saw it coming though, kind of.
They could be losing Higgins and Boyd this offseason.
Oh, Boyd's gone.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he's gone.
Huge. Like, who's Burrow going to throw to now?
What's Joey Slant's going to do? Yeah, what's Joey Slant's going to do, man?
Just all Chase. He's
going to be out there looking like Trevor Lawrence.
Chase is going to get
Jamar Chase. Hey,
he's going to get 20 targets a game.
I'm good with that. I got Chase. I'm good with that.
They re-signed Drew Sample, the Titans, so better watch out. They do got Drew Sample. That's a.
Are they keeping? You think they're keeping Mixon too?
So Jake mentioned Joe Mixon, and I saw the rumor. When I searched his name on X or Twitter, we're going to call it nowadays, and his name was being floated under contract, but he could be a post June 1 designated cut. I mean, that could be happen. The Bengals just signed Geno Stone, so they are making some. It was a small deal too, so they're making some moves out there. But Alan Luke, what are you guys looking at for some stuff that's happened in the last few days?
Yeah, I've been eyeing this Russell Wilson deal, like the $1.2 million to go to Steelers, take over a Kenny Pickett spot. I mean, I think it'll work. It's not the old Russell Wilson, but he's going to rely on the defense, and he's better than both Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett.
Well, remember, it's not even a guarantee he's going to start.
Maybe he may not start.
No. I think that he didn't sign. No, he didn't sign there to be a backup. That's not going to happen.
But
if what happened, what the Steelers came out and said they wanted to do, if it works out that way, you ain't gonna have a choice. The Steelers came out and said they want to bring somebody in to motivate Pickett and elevate him to the next level.
I mean, you're only paying him $1 million.
There's too many teams out there that need a quarterback, man. And he's not signing there unless he gets a guarantee that he's starting.
No, because if he's not starting by the start of the season, they're just going to release him. They're just going to waive him.
Yeah. It's a win-win for the Steelers. Like, there's no loss for them. Like, they paid Russell Wilson $1.2 million. It's fucking nothing.
They're going to suck either way because they're both dog shit quarterbacks. But
he's going to start going up there and he's going to say, "Hey, Steelers Nation, let's ride." And remember, he's Mr. Unlimited.
He's going to hit him with
the Steelers need Hard Knocks this offseason. They need it. I want to see Russell Wilson and George Pickens in practice.
Hey, how soon does George Pickens devolve into Antonio Brown?
I want to see George Pickens and Russell Wilson and fucking Mike Tomlin.
I've only watched one.
Well, Mike Tomlin's only watched with his arms folded.
I will say this. That Russell Wilson, he excels when he's around a fully structured offense, and if there's nothing else than what Arthur Smith does is create a fully structured offense. So, it's not going to be about the guy that they want to get the ball. It's going to be about what the right play is. Like, that's kind of what he has been his MO. That's what helped Ryan Tannehill be more conservative in his games, and that's why he did so well with the Titans, and that's how Arthur Smith got the head coaching job. I think Russell Wilson can have a good year with this offense and this defense. It's just the AFC North is so loaded, it makes it tough.
Hey, but that's what makes an amazing quarterback. If you got a guy that can perform, as long as he's got solid running backs, a top receiving core, and the best offensive line in the league, hey, as long as you got every other piece and that 11th guy can step up, that's what makes a great quarterback.
Pittsburgh needs O-line bad, so Pittsburgh needs O-line.
That's
really
bad. That's why there's no excuses for Kirk Cousins.
That's what I'm saying. I was about to mention that. Chad Johnson on Nightcap on Sunday night was talking about that when him and Shannon Sharp broke the news that, hey, Russ, because I was sleeping when it happened when Russ got signed, and Chad was like, they're putting Deontay Johnson on the trade block. I'm like, what? And I'm agreeing with Chad. Why would you do that? Why would you bring in Russ Wilson who could use Deontay Johnson with George Pickens and Pat
Because he
Freiermuth?
may not be happy with that because they had a chance to go get Cousins, get somebody in the draft, do anything aside from a 1-year Russ Wilson deal.
But it's a prove-it deal. What happens if he actually balls out? It's like a Baker Mayfield. Baker took a shot on himself. Congrats, you got paid 3 years, $100 million. Good for you,
How old
Baker
is Russ?
Mayfield. He came in 2012, or 2011. No, 2012. He came in 2012's draft class. And, he played 4 or 5 years in college. Yeah, but what happens if he comes out and he has a good, 5-year career with them? You never know. So Russell Wilson will be turning 36 in November. What happens if he plays 3 or 4 years and he has a good little solid run there? I'm not saying he's going to win a Super Bowl or get to a championship game or whatnot.
I don't think he's got.
He has a 1-year proven. I'm not a Russell Wilson fan, but I like the move. I think it's a good move for the Pittsburgh.
I'm not saying it's a bad move. I just don't think he's got it in him to have 4 or 5 good years left. I think he's done. I think his future is being a backup to teach younger guys and try to mentor and mold them.
I think he's a good bridge quarterback till they find their next guy in the draft, whoever that's going to be.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. He's definitely not a long term. I don't care if he balls out. He ain't going to ball out this year anyways, but
he's good enough to get the Steelers their 9 wins and make the wild card.
Let's not get
he's good.
Oh yeah, Mike Tomlin's still going to get his.
He's good enough to do that. They did it without him.
To get 9 win. If Mike Tomlin can get to 9 wins or 8-1 all these years with guys like Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges and Kenny Pickett, he can get 9 wins with an aging Russell Wilson.
Trubisky.
Well, here's what I'm saying too. What we're seeing, what we saw last year. All right, are we honestly going to say that Russell Wilson's last year was not better than the Steelers' quarterback room? That's a legitimate question, and he definitely was better than them.
The only problem he had was he only had fourth quarter issues. That's all he had. Mainly was fourth quarter issues.
And the big issue was that Sean Payton's offense is highly complex, and he was having issues with the play calling and things like that.
Defense was bad too the beginning of the year too.
Yeah.
Sean Payton's way too egotistic. He's got his ego's way too big for him. The Broncos are gonna be terrible this season.
I saw the Broncos are going to be the team that's fucked over in this entire draft thing.
Yeah.
I think really honestly, I think the Vikings are a really good offense, and I think they're gonna jump up in the draft to try to get JJ McCarthy. They really love him, and I think the Broncos are trying to wait for JJ McCarthy to drop to them, and I think the Vikings are going to take him before that.
Here is JJ McCarthy to the Vikes.
Broncos don't have draft capital to trade up. They're unfortunately stuck where they're at. That's their problem. But what I was going to say was back to Russell real quick was I saw a comparison today. We forget. Remember Kurt Warner? He left the Rams and he went to the Giants, and that 2.5 year stint was pretty pitiful. Then he went to Arizona and he started balling out with Aquan Bolden and Larry Fitzgerald, not calling George Pickens and Deontay Johnson, those two individuals at all. But you're going to a team that has decent wide receivers. Pittsburgh has good defense usually. You have Mike Tomlin, a well-respected coach in the league. Maybe he does turn his career around. I'm not saying he is, but just maybe he turns that career around.
Russell Wilson, though, he demanded the trade out, and he wanted this big splash of a free agency. Kurt Warner was kind of on his dumps. They kind of wanted Mark Bolger to be the next guy, so he got released, and then he ended up in New York. It's a whole different thing. Russell Wilson is this ego monster too that he has to really got to get himself humbled.
Yeah, he is. But Alan, we've all mentioned what's one thing you do before we start to move on to some other things that are coming up.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things going on, but I think for me, the biggest thing that I've seen this weekend is teams that have a chance to compete, really trying to take that next step, being aggressive. I think some of the big signings that we've seen this year, today, haven't really made that big of an impact. You talk about the Packers with Josh Jacobs. I think they got worse. I think they actually got worse at running back because Aaron Jones, yes, he might have been injured, but Josh Jacobs really wasn't that good last year. But I really like what the Bears have done this entire offseason. They've made some really key moves. They're shoring up their defense. They're getting themselves lined up for offense. And I really like what the Lions have done too. Now, the Lions lost an offensive lineman, but they went out and they got cornerback They still have a really good offensive line. They're still going to come out and play really hard, but they shored up their cornerback situation, their DBs. Getting Carlton Davis, I think that was a big deal for a team that was right on the cusp that really had a chance to win, and they lost that game in the championship game, but they were right there. And if they had just had a better defense, they could have curbed that game and still won that. And I think that puts them on the next level.
Well, I'm back to the Packers now. I get the numbers weren't there for Josh Jacobs, but the year before that, he was a beast in the NFL. Was one of the league. I think he was the league rusher, and then he had a lot of touchdowns. But he's coming. The Raiders were a mess last year. Offensive line wasn't the best, but what can Josh Jacobs at 25 do with a good offensive line in Green Bay? I mean, I get it stat wise, yes.
Yeah, but that's the same offensive line though, because the Packers are going through a big turnover right now. They're losing a lot of guys on defense. They're losing a lot of guys on that offensive line in that offense.
But they brought McKinney in too. That's big though.
They brought in McKinney, but they just lost Runyon. They just let go of Bakhtiari. I mean, I know Bakhtiari didn't really play a lot, but still they're losing a lot of guys on that team, and they're really getting a lot of those veterans.
And by the way, Bakhtiari is going to be a New York Jet.
Probably. Yeah.
Where else is he going to go besides Aaron Rodgers?
And then watch him play 16 games.
Yeah, he maybe misses 1 or 2 games next year, and he plays a pretty damn healthy year, and he's in the playoffs with the New York Jets. Go figure, right?
Didn't the Packers get somebody else?
It was just McKinney. I got here. Packers got McKinney and Josh Jacobs. Unless something happened last second before the show, they did release Aaron Jones. AJ Dillon's gone, like you said, Doc. And the Packers, like NFC North in general, is just an interesting situation. I know we were talking. Well, I've talked about this with Doc. I know me and Alan have talked about this. It's a very interesting division. The Lions are getting better. They're the reigning champions. What are they going to do with the expectations? The Packers, they were a year early, 2 years early in their situation. The Bears are making right moves according to everybody. And the Vikings, they're signing defensive players. They fucking – I know Rizlo's not happy about it, and I don't know why. They got some good players this year in the free agencies. They got they got Greenard from the Texans, pretty good. They got fucking your boy Van Geikel, who you want the Patriots to go get.
I wanted him, yeah.
Little deal, and they also got Blake Cashman from the Texans. They're building that defense so that they can go offense in the draft.
Yeah,
I like what Minnesota's doing.
I agree with that
doing too. We're looking at an all-offensive draft.
Honestly, I think that the Packers ended the season. I think the Packers ended the season as the darlings, but I think that the Packers could end up probably worst in the division. Like I know that's really we're projecting way out here. Or I am, but I look at the rest of the teams in this division and they're really building up around. And I really like what the Bears have done. They've really, with Jalen Johnson, that defense is the second best defense in the entire league after they went out and got Montez Sweat. They paid him, but they really stepped up. You go out, if Caleb Williams hits, man, watch out for the Bears. They could win that division. Okay.
They could go from last to first.
It is the Bears. It is the Bears we're talking about here.
I ain't gonna knock that comment, but I don't think Caleb Williams gonna hit anywhere he goes.
But I mean, yeah, it's just there's a lot going on. Hey, there's still names out there. You have Daniil Hunter, Patrick Queen. There was a fake report that he went to the Seahawks, and then it was an Adam Schefter burner account, and then not his account, but Justin Simmons is out there. You got Calvin Ridley. I know you mentioned Chase Young. Yeah, Derrick Henry and
hey, shout out to Jacksonville replacing Calvin Ridley with a premier talent in Gabe Davis.
Don't forget they also trade for Mac Jones too, Doc.
Oh
yeah,
game over. Game over out there.
And they signed two Ravens players today too, Duvernay and Darby.
Yep.
Darby was there too.
Yeah,
I didn't see Darby. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah. Well, listen, Jacksonville. Before Gabe Davis had I think it was third most expensive wide receiver core, and that is not a good sign. And then you just went out and you got a guy like Gabe Davis, and you're replacing Calvin Ridley. You're not going to re-sign Calvin Ridley, and you're still up there in how much money you're allocating to that room, and they're just not guys that are making big differences. Are you going to turn Gabe Davis into a 3-down wide receiver?
they don't even have a quarterback page yet. They still have a quarterback on rookie contract. They haven't extended to Trevor Lawrence, so that's another situation. They're gonna have to. They have to figure out what they're going to do. Mac Jones is probably getting cut, and then we'll probably talk to him later on.
Whoa,
What his
whoa. Hey, we all know what Doug Peterson does with backup quarterbacks, okay?
They're not picking up his fifth-year option. He's probably going to be there to be home, learn for a year with Trevor, and God, I want to talk about it so bad, but it's not the time or place. I get the 2022 draft class, and probably even the 2014 or 2013, whichever one had EJ Manuel. Yeah, those are bad draft classes, but the expectations are so much higher for this 2021 draft class. And you're about to have 3 guys when Zach Wilson's done that aren't even on their original team before their 5th year. That is ridiculous.
I really honestly don't think that Zach Wilson was a high expectation guy. I think everybody was like, oh, he's a project and they're going to make it work. And then everybody even questioned the Jets when they went out and picked him. As far as the real thing that everybody is talking about with the 21 draft class is Trevor Lawrence. He was vaunted during high school. He went to Clemson and he did great. And then he got to the NFL. He's supposed to be this great guy. He's supposed to be the next Peyton Manning. He's supposed to be the next great quarterback. And he's kind of not. He's kind of fallen off. He had a horrible playoff game that he got lucky and came back in. And other than that, he really just hasn't. He hasn't been a guy that makes a difference on the field other than making turnovers. So, like, I think that's where you're getting hung up on it, but still 2022 is the worst quarterback. Those guys aren't even third string.
Well, you can say EJ Manuel's draft class is pretty bad. I can't even name another quarterback in that draft class, to be honest with you.
Maybe. I think you're right.
But
I think Kenny Pickett's draft class is probably the worst.
Yeah, that's the 22.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
But look at EJ Manuel. I mean, at least Pickett. I think Pickett's better than EJ Manuel. Better than EJ Manuel.
Kenny Pickett made Mason Rudolph look like a good quarterback.
EJ Manuel would have made him look like a Hall of Famer. EJ Manuel's bad. EJ Manuel's bad. I mean, he had a good couple game stretch, but that was about it. And Buffalo also was not the same Buffalo they are now. Buffalo was a shit show, but we forget how bad Buffalo was for years after the Jim Kelly days and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it's just there's a lot going on. I mean, God, Baker Mayfield. Like I said, we mentioned that. Tampa got Mike Evans and Baker back, and I like
Antoine Winfield too.
Chase
Edmonds.
Edmonds.
They haven't signed yet, but yeah. Chase Edmonds, did he stay there?
They tagged Winfield though. They tagged Winfield, so I mean they're gonna make that work.
Edmonds got a 1-year deal again. He'll probably sit behind White.
Now, I just want to touch on this real quick. You said that the Bucs could win the division earlier, Mark. Like I think that they could too. It's the worst division in the league, and I think that they could. And you don't think that would be a disappointment if the Bucs win the division over the Falcons?
I said if it depends on if we're looking at all the variables. Okay, if the Falcons win or don't win the division, they're a wild card team. They're a one round exit. Yes, that's a failure year for what we were expecting to have. But if we go 10-7 or 9-8, I don't give a shit, and we win 2 playoff games and win the NFC Championship. No, it's not a failure of a season. Yeah, you start off bumpy, but you got to the NFC Championship, and you know what? There's 2 or 3 teams that everyone's going to say that are better than the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC. The 49ers, they're also going to say the Lions are, and some people are also going to still say the Eagles as well.
Hey,
so
sleeper team.
Cowboys too.
I'm pretty sure. Hey, I'm listening. Listen, the Rams are going to be a sleeper team this year. They've done a lot of good things.
Oh yes, the Rams. They signed John Jackson from the fucking Lions.
From the Lions. They've went out and done a lot of good things, and they got a lot of young guys. The Rams actually got kind of screwed over by the Panthers. They turned down a first round draft pick and a couple other things for Brian Burns, and the Giants ended up going ahead and taking that trade. But the Rams are doing a lot of really good things, and I think they're on the come up. Everybody forgets how good Matthew Stafford is. I said it before the playoffs last year. Matthew Stafford was the best quarterback in the NFC, and I think this year we're going to see that again.
Well, Jordan Love to me was the more impressive, not best, more impressive because that second half stretch, he did what Trevor Lawrence did with the Jaguars when he first came that second year, first year with Doug Peterson. But Jordan Love looked good in the playoffs. I mean, but you mentioned the Giants though, man. They made some moves today. Yeah, Devin Singletary. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but you got fucking 2 linemen. You got Brian Burns on a fucking deal. Like, they're making moves. They were investing on the offensive line where they had issues. So now this is going to be the question: is will Evan O'Neal be on the team, or will he be playing with the Giants? They were talking about moving him to guard as it is. You just picked up a guard from the Packers. So I like what the Giants are doing. They just got to figure out the quarterback and offense. You got to figure out the weapons and the quarterback still.
Man, I don't think the Giants are anywhere near competition right now. Like, I
like what they're doing.
It's kind of tough.
I don't think they'll be there as long as they got Danny Jones.
No, that's what I'm saying. I like what they're doing is if they're building for the future, but you got to figure out, hey, maybe they take a quarterback. Maybe it's the roles reversed. Maybe like they did for Justin Fields, they keep Fields, the Bears, and they trade up that pick to 6, and the Giants go to 1, and they get the quarterback that they want.
Man, I don't know about spending that money on Brian Burns either. When you have so many other needs, you have so much other cap space that you have to do. You just signed Danny Dimes to $40 million plus. I mean, that's tough.
They could have got Daniil Hunter, and you didn't have to give up any picks. Like, you could have literally gone and got. I mean, I'm not saying Hunter's going to sign there, but you could at least throw money at him.
They could have made that move already, having reached out to Hunter, and Hunter going, "I ain't coming."
Yeah.
Well, Hunter's still waiting, so.
I think Hunter wants to go for a team that actually has a chance to compete, and I think everybody knows the Giants aren't.
And I think
Jake
Hunter honestly
the Niners
wants to go back
in the
to Minnesota.
Discord. But the problem is that they just got Greenard from the Texans, so that's a pass rusher. I don't know if we see Daniil Hunter going back to Minnesota. Like, I know Jake's mentioned the Niners, but the Rams, I'm telling you, I don't count the Rams out. Still getting them. I think. Oh, Zach Moss just signed. Oh, shit. So breaking news, Zach Moss signing 2-year deal with the Cincinnati Bengals, and they are releasing Joe Mixon per Adam Schefter.
Damn.
Yeah, I think that offense is going to be a roller coaster. I think they're going to kind of tank down a little bit. Joe Burrow's – we're going to see what Joe Burrow's made of coming off of this injury and with less talent on that team. Man, I don't know how it's going to turn out for them. That's going to be tough.
And mutual interest between the Ravens and Derrick Henry. Which I think we already knew, but officially announced.
So Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon are now the 2 running backs and Aaron Jones, so the 3 running backs.
I think Joe Mixon to Dallas Cowboys or the Houston Texans is huge.
You talked going in division, and I will agree with you on this part in division. Joe Mixon to the Baltimore Ravens, I would like that. I would like that. I would like that. He would thrive with Lamar Jackson and the running ability that he has to do the options, because now you have to respect Lamar enough where Joe Mixon's going to have holes and he's going to be able to get good yards. I like that.
No, it's going to be Mixon to Dallas, J.K. Dobbins to Houston, and Derrick Henry to the Ravens.
Is J.K. Dobbins even going to get signed though? Like, I don't think anybody believes in his knees.
Somebody's going to take a chance on him.
Houston's running out of time. Houston's running out of time. You know what I mean?
I guess
they better be making a call for Mixon right now.
Joe Mixon went to Oklahoma, and that's only a couple hours away from Dallas. But I mean, I thought he was born in Texas, but he's from California. Maybe. But yeah, I can see Dallas though. Honestly, that could be
Don't I have fucking Zach Moss in Dynasty?
I have Joe Mixon, so I'm in a situation. But I need running backs. All I have is Kyron Williams and Khalil Herbert, but Khalil Herbert just got his job stolen from DeAndre Swift, so he's gonna be a backup maybe. But now I'm fucking losing Joe Mixon, and I'm hoping I can get some running backs somewhere.
Hey man, I got running backs. You got
Zach
picks.
Moss.
You know what I'm saying?
I do have Zach Moss.
Oh yeah, so Zach Moss. Zach Moss had a good season last year for what they asked him to do. He filled in for Jonathan Taylor. He had some good games. So I mean, 2-year deal, $8 million. I mean, is that really deal, like a fucking? Yeah, it's a cheap deal. I mean, it's not like you're.
They're going to have to figure out how to fucking pay Jamar Chase too with Joe Burrow's deal, and they're losing offensive linemen too. So I mean, they're not going to protect Joe again.
Didn't they go through negotiations with Jamar Chase already?
They've started talks, I believe, but they haven't. It hasn't progressed.
I think they should be signing him this offseason, right? Or are they going to push it another year?
He came in 2021. 21, 22, 23, 24. This is his 4th year. Yeah, so he's going to have to get – I mean, the option, I think they picked up his 5th-year option, or they're going to. I would assume they did. Or they're going to – yeah, I mean, the 5th-year option will be picked up. That's not a question. They probably should sign him this offseason so he's not a free agent. Going to 2026. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you're going to sign his option, and then his contract wouldn't start until 2026, regardless if it's a franchise tag or that. They're gonna. I think they're going to keep. They're going to kick that can down the road. They might end up tagging him in 2026 and then sign him long term. That
They're going to burn. They're going to burn some bridges. the Bengals going to burn some bridges.
No, I like the free agency. It was wild. The first 2 hours was jam packed.
It was popping.
I mean, tampering my ass. That shit was fucking no way. Like Jake said, no way at 12:05 a guy already had a contract ready to go. I mean, we get it, tampering, but it's
12:05. DeAndre Swift was signing that deal. He's like, good.
I fucking jumped out of Philly ASAP. I can't believe anybody would even go to Philly after seeing that shit show with the running game last year.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
Money, I'll go.
Saquon in 5 games is going to be like,
yeah, they ain't giving me the ball. You come out after the first game of the season. Anytime we see DeAndre Swift getting 1 touch a game is a problem, and we need to do better. And you did better for like 3 games, and then all of a sudden it was back to like 4 or 5 touches.
Saquon's going to be involved on the passing game, though. That's where he would thrive.
But who? Why? They've got A.J. Brown who's going to cry about getting the ball. You still got Devontae Smith. You got Dallas Goedert. You really think Saquon's going to get involved in the passing game? Like, listen, in 5 games, Saquon's going to be like, I hate it here. Get me out of here. Trade me away. He's going to be like fucking Karate Kid.
No, he's just going to be, honestly, he's going to be just happy to win ball games, have a positive record, because
I don't think they're going to be winning.
Shit.
I really don't think they're going to be winning. I think the Eagles are going to have a hard crash. They lost really big defensive players, and they lost the heart and soul of their offense with fucking Kelsey. I think that the Eagles are in a downturn. And Jalen Hurts, you talk about 2 different guys on 2 different echelons. I will say this again about Lamar Jackson. While I say Lamar Jackson isn't the guy who's going to win you a championship, Lamar Jackson is a guy during the regular season that's going to elevate your team and can carry against the rest of your team that's around you. But Jalen Hurts has only had 1 good season with the perfect circumstances. And those circumstances, they're gone now. He isn't even a leader on the offense. Guys don't even listen to him. They talk about him. He's an introvert. He doesn't come out and he doesn't speak. The thing he needs to do this year is be a better leader and speak more. Like these are the problems that you have from a quarterback that you just paid $250 million to. And now you just signed Saquon Barkley to push him into the end zone. Stupid.
I mean,
Saquon's got big legs. He's strong.
I will say though, off the top, the topic of Saquon, but off topic of the Eagles, the Tiki Barber and the Saquon Barkley back and forth. I stand by what Saquon. I was wrong. I think he's wrong by saying, like pretty much like he didn't like, but he's not loyal, whatever, because he wasn't loyal. I get why Tiki's mad because he went to the Eagles, but Tiki has no fucking room to talk because the Giant fans. They like what he did because he was good there, but he sold out. He quit. He quit on the Giants. I don't give a shit if he retired. He quit. He quit on them. That's why Strahan didn't retire. Strahan was supposed to retire that same season, but Tiki fucking sold out and took his ball and went home, so Strahan had to play another year. They won the Super Bowl. It worked out. But Tiki Barber's a bitch himself, so the fact that he called out Saquon Barkley, I get it. Went to the Eagles, to the rival Philly team, but don't sit there and criticize a guy that you just didn't have nowhere to go. Like
what did the Giants offer Barkley?
No, that's what Barkley said. Barkley said I took money, and he's going to a team he thinks could win a championship. I mean, he thinks the Eagles could win.
This isn't a fucking team that took care of you. Okay, this isn't a team that offered you the deal last year when they had the opportunity when you wanted longevity. All right, this is a team that refused to pay you, refused to give you long term. Refuse to build around you. You think paying Daniel Jones $40 million a year is building people around you? Because it's fucking not. It's not.
Yeah, no, I mean,
anything else to build around that team, and he's supposed to be loyal. Loyal to what?
The money that they were supposed to pay to Saquon, they paid to Danny Dimes, and the reason they paid Danny Dimes is because Saquon had the best year of his career. So you did these things. And you got all of these accomplishments, and then you were passed off and said, you know what, it's really the quarterback. And it wasn't. Danny Dimes doesn't have that season if you don't have Saquon Barkley on that team.
No, the Giants are going to be a dumpster fire.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what they do in the draft. But boys, God, it was fun. One last thing I want to hit on: the Cleveland Browns. I get it. Jared Jeudy hasn't lived up to the expectations yet because of Denver. Denver's a shit show. Can he maybe come into Cleveland? Deshaun Watson was looking good before he got hurt. I mean, could he help Amari Cooper? Deshaun Watson looked good. He looked good that last game he got hurt.
He played hurt, and guess what? He sat out the rest of the season after that game.
No. He didn't sit out. He told them to put a needle in me every single game I'll play. The Browns shut him down. That was not Deshaun's decision. He wanted to play.
Deshaun Watson, he played one good half of a football game. I'll give him that. He played one good half. The rest of the season, he did not play good.
I think Jeudy can be.
He's also 68
be a
cap this season too.
I think Jeudy can make that wide receiver core better.
I really like what the Browns are doing. They just re-signed Zadarius Smith too. Like I really like what they're doing. The problem is that it comes in the AFC North, and we all know that that's just one of the toughest divisions in the entire league. I think the Browns have all the pieces to be able to win that division, but I think it's a really, really tough division.
Oh yeah, I agree there.
You never know.
Very tough.
They're
getting Chubb. They're getting Chubb back too, so we forget. It ain't Jerome Ford anymore. It's Nick Chubb.
Let's see how his legs doing coming off of that. He had a horrific injury.
God, that was bad. Yeah, that was a bad injury.
See how he's doing, because what week was that? It was like what?
It was like week 2 or 3. It was
early.
In the season.
I'm pretty sure he had an injury like that in college too at Georgia. He'll be fine.
Yeah, it was early.
It wasn't that early.
Yeah, it was
early.
It was early because I have it in redraft, and I was pissed because I had a decent team. I had a high week 1, but lost the high score, and I was the third high score, and then he got hurt just shortly after that.
Yeah, it was September 18th, so it was right after the season started. Yeah,
that was week 2 because 9/11, the second Monday night game.
Yeah, I feel like it wasn't that early, but okay.
Yeah, it was I remember it was like the second or third game of the year.
Because that was back-to-back when Rodgers got hurt, and then the following Monday night, Nick Chubb got hurt. So it was like the Monday night curse early on. A lot of people were saying that. I remember that. Yeah, it was against the Steelers. I believe it was in Cleveland. No, I couldn't tell you. It was either.
Didn't Minka do it?
It was in Cleveland. I think it was Cleveland.
I think it was Fitzpatrick. I think Fitzpatrick because he had a history. Yeah, because he had a history of apparently.
He had another one, I think, later on in the year too. He had 2 that year, I thought.
Well, Fitzpatrick also got hurt, and it was like he had a leg injury as well.
Hey, shout out to Pittman for getting a deal worked out and getting his money.
Yeah, that's big for Indy and Anthony Richardson too. Big for those two.
No bad blood there, so that's good. I wanted to get that out real quick. That was my last thing.
Yeah. Ravens signed Madubuike the right time, right before Watkins, and right before Chris Jones. So his deal is just right under theirs. So
I think
we're coming for EDC.
I think we're all happy with our team so far in free agency. I think that I know there's some things that can still be done. The Ravens are still trying to make some moves, maybe a running back. Yeah. We'll see what New England, Chicago, they have up their sleeves.
Yeah, I really like Ravens. Usually sit out first day, so we'll probably sign one player.
I really like what the New England Patriots have been doing, though, man. I think they're putting together solid pieces. We know next year is not going to be a great year. We're not going to be over here trying to win too many games, and I think that going out and getting a veteran quarterback like Jacoby Brissett, he's going to show whoever we draft at quarterback how to be a professional.
With the number 1 pick.
I don't know about number 1. I'll take Caleb Williams.
Denver might be number 1. New England might be number 2. Denver might be number 1.
I don't know. Denver can't really move.
Yeah. But no, I mean, Atlanta signed Tyler Boyd before we sign out. I hope you guys are watching this long in like 57 minutes, 58 minutes in the show. Please, Atlanta, sign Tyler Boyd. Get it, just cheap deal. Or go get Cal Ridley. Make amends. Make amends with Cal Ridley. Now that we have a quarterback, he liked Matt Ryan. It was not have Matt Ryan's when he started not liking the team. But boys, great episode. We have basketball coming up. We're probably gonna do another day of football just to cap off the week. I had fun. This was fun. The juices were flowing. This is when the season is starting. We're getting back. I know it's not the week by week games, but this is something. It gets us going for a few months. That's Luke Rule. That's Nick the Doc Skirkwentz. That's Alan Tomasella. I'm Mark Davis. This is All About the Balls podcast, and we are out. Thank you for checking out another episode of All About the Balls podcast. We want to thank all of our listeners and supporters of the Sack House You can listen to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at The Sack House.